What are the best unlockable ships with gems in One Piece Treasure Cruise? Look no further, this is the best video for you. We are going to rank them in a priority tier list to know which ones you should aim for first. I also want to clarify, we are only going to discuss about ships that you can unlock with gems from the unlockable quests lock icon in Extra Island, not all of the ships in the game. Without exceptions, these all cost 30 gems, and all of them actually get better if you invest in them more to increase their level or get their special effect upgrades. I will be discussing about some of them in this video, but if you are a newer player, just know that you should mainly focus on the base level 10 and not the extra upgrades for now. This tier list is for you as well, so have no worries. I think the tiers are pretty self-explanatory. In the must unlock tier, you definitely should get the ships, you should even prioritize those in my opinion over getting a multi. Then the high priority ships are more situational, but still some of the best in the game. The good to have are just nice additions to your collection that could be proven to be useful in specific situations, but are not used often. And for the last tier, just get these ships only if you need them to clear a specific quest. Don't spend your gems, otherwise I wouldn't really advise it. Let's begin ranking the ships. We are going to go in chronological order, and starting with the Zunesha ship, I would place it in the good to have tier. The ship has fallen off drastically since I started playing the game, but it only makes sense because we have seen more universal and better ships come out with better multipliers, but also captains that now from their captain ability can make RCV or TND slots matching. So many units do it lately. It was more rare back in the day, and Zunesha had more value because the ship can make RCV and TND slots matching. I believe it is still a good effect to have, but definitely not as unique or needed from the ship anymore. Another disadvantage about the ship is that it only boosts two specific classes, so it's not a universal ship. It boosts Powerhouse and Cerebral units. Cerebral is one of the best classes in the game, so that's a plus, but Powerhouse not so much. It's not a horrible class, it's just not that rich as far as unit diversity and power, compared to Cerebral of course. Easily one of the best ships in the game for making perfects easier to hit. Back in the day when I first got Zunesha, I felt like I literally could not miss the perfect hit. It is so good for that aspect, but a lot of ships now make perfects easier, just not on the same level as Zunesha perhaps, but that extra help is probably not even needed for a lot of players if you just get accustomed to the perfects of your units. The ship with the second special effect also removes 2 turns of damage reduction, which is good coming from a ship, but I wouldn't really say it is that amazing to invest all of those resources into Zunesha, a ship that you will probably not use a lot. It's in the good to have tier because I believe making perfects easier against barriers and stuff can be very helpful, especially if you want to build up your chain versus chain debuffs, or just hit rush Sugo taps super easy, and it makes TND and RCV slots matching. Boosting the Cerebral class with a lot of unique units in the game is also a plus, but with all of that said, I haven't used the ship in such a long time that it can't be higher, and even in this tier it will be at the bottom. Zunesha is definitely an OG though, I love the ship. Moving on, we are going to discuss about the Germa 66 snail ship, and this one I will place in the only if you need it tier. The reason for that is extremely simple, because from its ability and from the time it was released, it is a ship that is specifically centered around Sanji Judge and the V2 Germa badge, and because that badge had every color available to them, Sanji Judge Sai, Ichiji Strength, Niji Q, Yonji Dex and Rage Wind, this ship needs every color in the crew to function properly and even provide the crew with an attack boost. There are very specific captains in the game that actually get benefited from every color in the crew. Sanji Judge, even the Super Evolution, is one of them. The Arlong crew is another. but the biggest one at this day and age of One Piece Treasure Cruise is definitely V16 Plus Gear 5 Luffy. So I would definitely say if you have that unit and you like using him a lot, getting this ship might be better for you than other people. So for example, it can even be boosted up a tier. But even in the situation where you want to use 6 Plus Gear 5 Luffy with every color in the crew, it's not the end of the world if you don't have this ship. That's why I am not going to place it higher. Next up though, we have another OG ship, the Hoe, and I will place this one in the good to have tier as well, probably over Zunesha because it is a universal ship, so it can boost all colors and classes in the game. And one of the biggest benefits the Hoe can provide is extra pirate EXP at the end of every quest, specifically boosted by 1.75 times. So it is just a quality of life ship to own. It is not a strong ship to use versus the super boss in Kizuna, for example, but for the daily quests, older quests, or generally quests where you don't really need the maximum damage you can get out of your ship, you can use the Hoe to get more EXP and improve the level of your account. The ship has a special ability that can provide healing as well, something that I found useful a lot back in the day when clearing Colosseums, but I think it is completely useless nowadays. I haven't used the Hoe for that reason specifically in literally years. But with the upgrades, the ship becomes way better. First of all, at maximum level 12, the special now also doubles your crew's slot effects for 2 turns, and that is universally for all of your units. It still provides some healing, and from the ship ability, you get a better multiplier for your attack boost, perfects are easier to hit, you get more pirate EXP, and you also get end of turn healing. The upgrades definitely make the Hoe a way better ship. Are they worth the investment though? I'm not so sure about that, simply because the way I look at the Hoe ship nowadays is as a quality of life ship that I am going to use for my daily quests and maybe some older content if I want to do that. But generally I don't use the ship a lot anymore, especially after the release of the whale sharks, which we are going to talk about in a bit. But next up we have Megalo, and I will place Megalo in the high priority tier. In my opinion, it was a great ship back in the day and it actually holds up to this day, for a couple of reasons. First of all, it can reduce damage received by 10%, nothing crazy, but that can be helpful with all of the different types of damage infliction we see in the game lately. And on top of that, it can also lock the crew's slots for 1 turn. A very helpful special to have if you want to maintain Wano slots, tandem slots even, or any other type of slot if the enemy doesn't have slot manipulation in their preemptive. But if they do and you want to avoid it, locking Wano slots, rainbow slots, Semla or super bomb slots can literally help you avoid the manipulation. It could, for example, be manipulation to super block slots, and by stopping it, by locking your slots with the Megalo special, it can be the changing factor for you to clear the quest, in case of course you cannot get the locked slots from a special or a support. The Megalo can be there, if your captain of course is Sai or Int, because that is a limitation the ship has. It boosts your attack only if your captain has one of those 2 specific colors. The ship can become even better with special upgrades, being able to lock your slots for 2 turns, give you better multipliers for attack and even HP, because it boosts HP, so it's helpful in that area as well. And finally, it can even help with block slots later on with full investment. But even at the base level 10, it is a great ship to have, a great ship to unlock, and one that should be a high priority. Next we see the Koi ship, and in my opinion this goes to only if you need it. I would say that this is one of the most disappointing ships we have seen in One Piece Treasure Cruise, generally from the time it came out with V1 Komurasaki. It wasn't that great. It boosts Q and Int characters, the attack boosting is not amazing, and it has a specific requirement where if your HP is full, it boosts the attack more. But this is a pretty annoying requirement to fulfill, and it doesn't have an alternative to that requirement. It is either your full HP to get the extra attack, or you don't get it. Then it has a special for some healing, which is useless nowadays, and a chain boost, which only becomes good with high investment in the ship, but it's not worth the investment and probably not even worth the 30 gems. Fun fact, I still haven't unlocked it to this day. I haven't spent the 30 gems and I have never felt like I need the ship either. Next up we have the Shark Superb, which I am going to place at the top of the good to have tier. For this ship to boost you properly, your captain needs to be either strength, dex or Q, and then it gives you a very high attack boost that gets lower every turn that passes. As you can understand, this is a ship you want to use in smaller quests like Kizuna, where we only have 3 turns, so you won't be getting the 2 times attack boost the ship can provide, but you will be getting around 1.76 to 1.8 times of an attack boost in stage number 3 of Kizuna, so if you want to go for maximum damage, comparing this ship, even at base level 10, to other ships, it can give you a better attack boost, that is for sure. But outside of Kizuna, you are not really going to use it, because the quests are longer and it's not worth using because the attack boost will diminish a lot. And maybe in some quests you also want to stall, which is a horrible combination with this ship obviously. And in Treasure Map, where we also get 3-stage quests, you could use it if it really helped you with damage, but in my opinion that is very rarely going to happen, since in Treasure Map we don't really focus on damage and we focus more on our point multiplier. Overall, I cannot place it higher because simply in my opinion the Shark Superb is a win more ship. When you are using it, you can probably already do a lot of damage, and by using it you can just do a bit more. That's just the gist of it, and it is mainly for Kizuna. Next up, we are going to place the Liberal Hind at the high priority tier. This is a good ship, it definitely sees less play nowadays, but in my opinion the fact that it can help you with healing at the end of the turn and can also provide 1 turn of special cooldown reduction for side characters can be helpful in specific situations. For example, the 1 turn of special cooldown reduction has been a lot of help to me personally in past Pirate King Adventures quests. It was actually even necessary in some of them, but that won't happen often. Outside of that, the ship can help you with survivability, with its end of turn healing, and even with its good multipliers. In a lot of situations, you are not going to prefer it over other ships that will be ranking above it in this tier list, because it needs your captain to be a specific class in order to provide the attack boost, and it also does not make perfects easier to hit, which might even be a requirement for a lot of people to use a ship nowadays. If you have a full side team, it can also be huge help and one of the best ships to actually use for damage, simply because it gives you a higher attack boost, but the entirety of the team needs to be side. Next up we have the Amphibious Nostra Castello. I will place this ship in the good to have tier. Similarly to the Liberal Hind actually, the upgrades you get from this ship are not that amazing, not super worth the high investment, but it is a ship that focuses on strength, psi and int characters, provides an attack boost but also a very good HP boost for them. It is actually one of the best HP boosting ships in the entire game. It actually also has an HP requirement where if you are either full HP or 30% or below, it gives you a better attack boost. That can be a great combination with either high HP cuts from the enemy, characters that reduce your HP, or characters that can help you overheal because then you are guaranteed to be at maximum HP. For a lot of teams, it might be a hassle to play around with HP though, and it might be a hassle to guarantee you are going to get the highest attack boost from the ship, so you might just use something else, and that is one of the reasons I cannot place the Amphibious Nostra Castello higher. Next up we have the Oro Jackson Goldie Rogers ship. I will place this one in high priority, I think over the Liberal Hind, and the reason for that is that the ship can help you remove 2 turns of paralysis, later with higher investment even 2 turns of bind, but the utility here can be very important in specific quests. I actually think recently I used the Oro Jackson with the new 10th anniversary Shanks, maybe that was versus the Blitz battle, and the 2 turns of removal for paralysis helped me clear the quest. And without a doubt I have to mention here that 10th anniversary Shanks might be the key to a lot of these ships being better, because you can get their specials much easier and you don't actually need to stall for them. Back to the Oro Jackson though, outside of the utility, it is only a ship that can boost Free Spirit and Slasher units. It does boost HP alongside attack with good multipliers, and it can make RCV and TND slots have matching slot effects for the Free Spirit and Slasher units, which is definitely a plus as we discussed in the Zunesha chapter. Probably a less important factor now though than it was when the ship was released. Still a nice addition though, and just like the Zunesha ship, it is one of the best ships to make perfects much easier for you to hit. It can also provide some end of turn healing to help with survivability, 1000 though, not 2000 like the Liberal Hind, and I would say probably one of its biggest disadvantages is that it focuses around 2 specific classes, but it only makes sense since this ship came out with V1 Roger and it is centered around him. Next up we have the Whale Sharks. This is the best ship in the game, so I will place it alone in the must unlock tier. Overall, if you get the Whale Sharks, it will be your default ship for every single crew, except if you are in a situation where you think one of the other ships can help you more. So for example, if you want to remove 2 turns of paralysis, maybe you will use the Oro Jackson if you actually have a Free Spirit and Slasher team. If you have a full Psi team or you have some Psi units that can benefit from the 1 extra turn of special cooldown reduction from the Liberal Hind, you might use that. If you are in Kizuna and you have a Strength Dex or Q Captain and you want that extra bit of damage from the Shark Superb, you might use that. But to give you a basic understanding of my thought process with the Whale Sharks, by default in every single crew I am making, I will be using the Whale Sharks as my ship. And if either A, the team I am building, or B, the quest I want to clear, require me to use another ship, or using another ship I know will benefit me more during the quest, I will consider another ship. But if the benefit is not worth, I'm still probably going to use the Whale Sharks for comfort. So for example, if I have a full Psi team, the Liberal Hind will give me more damage. But do I need that damage? If the answer is no, I'm just going to use the Whale Sharks. Now, if it is more specific and I need a ship special, I am going to use that ship. So for example, if we want to lock Wayno slots and we can't with another way, I'm going to use the Megalo if our captain is either Psi or Int, and not the Whale Sharks. Essentially, every time I'm asking the question, why shouldn't I use the Whale Sharks? If there is a good reason for it, I'm not going to use it. But it is such a great ship and a very comfortable one with the easier perfects, the more HP and the matching tandem slots, that you are going to be using it a lot of the time if you do have it. And finally we have the 2 newest ships that I will place together. We have Shiki's Island ship and the Catapult Bullets ship, and I will place both of them in the good to have tier, because overall they are not bad ships, but because they are the more recent ships for 30 gems, I also don't find them that exciting and could easily place them in the only if you need it tier. They don't really offer something that unique that other ships in this tier list don't. So for example, the Shiki Island ship is the Amphibious Nostra Castello, but not for strength, Psi and Int characters, but Dex, Q and Int characters instead. But at least the Amphibious Nostra Castello, when it came out, had a purpose and was one of the strongest ships in the game, even though it has lost power over the years. So now they repackage it into the Shiki's Island ship. It doesn't really make sense, but obviously, objectively, the ship still can find some uses exactly in the same places where Nostra Castello might find some uses, but for the different colors. I am just not a fan of the releases of the new ships in general for 30 gems. We need something new that can offer something unique ship-wise as well, and not just with its higher upgraded levels. For the Bullet ship, mainly its advantage in my opinion is that it can boost your captain more than the rest of the crew. So if your captain either A can boost themselves more from their captain ability, or B they have a rush Sugo or a final tap limit break ability, then that can increase your damage. It is focused on strength Q and int characters, and I would say it is probably at the top end of this tier. We are going to place it here, I'm pretty certain. And just to make it more clear, it's not like I'm negative on these ships because they are trash and horrible ships. I am negative more because I am disappointed with the release. I expected more, but we didn't get it, maybe. I would say that they are still usable, they have their place, but at the end of the day they can't go over the good to have tier. And to be truthful with everyone, I think that you could even boil down this tier list to get the whale sharks, and if you need any of the other niches the ships provide, then also unlock that ship. The ones in the second tier are used more than the ones in the third tier, and so on and so forth. Hopefully you found this video enjoyable though, or helpful if you are thinking about unlocking some ships that you already haven't. What is your opinion? Let me know in the comments down below, and also tell me if you agree with the placements or not. Subscribe for more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, and as always, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.